That was not a real tackle.
No. The dog steals itself. It just runs out of the store.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Commercial Filmmakers React. My name is George.
My name is Tom.
And we are both commercial filmmakers. We make advertising videos for a living. It's Super Bowl weekend, and that's one of the biggest events in the advertising calendar when it comes to commercial filmmaking. There's big bucks spent. It's said that the average cost of a 30-second commercial this year was $6.5 million.
Oh, that's too expensive.
Which is a lot of money. It breaks down to about $217,000 per second. And there's a kind of rough guideline in advertising that you spend 50% of your budget on sending the commercial to the world, distribution, but you spend about 50% on the production. Yeah. So if we assume that that's the case, then scaled up to the length of a 2-hour movie, these films cost $1.5 billion to
Just
make.
Insane.
Which is the most expensive movie ever made. So we're going to want to see some of those dollars on the screen. Let's take a look at some of the best ones. The thing that excites me most about this is it's an example of filmmaking in pill form. You know, commercial filmmaking is often about cramming a narrative, a meaningful something into 60 or 30 seconds, and every frame counts.
I think in terms of budget, in both time and money, they've cut some fairly clever corners here. There's no weird CGI. There's some shots, especially at the start, where you notice the horse falling. Not much actually happens. There's some sort of close-up shots which make you infer that the horse has fallen. It's
incredibly expensive to get a horse to do a stunt. And they convey the horse falling largely through that moment of the fence post breaking and falling over. So they didn't need to create a 3D animated falling horse or do the major work of having a massive stunt happen with a horse. What do we think about the dog being involved? It's a supportive role, but it's an Oscar-winning supportive role, I reckon.
I don't really know what its role is, except for people love dogs, the dog is cute.
I think it creates an avatar for every potential customer in the audience. So maybe you feel like you're the heroic horse getting back to his feet and moving forward, jumping over that fence. But maybe you feel like you're a friend, you're a supportive person, you're not the big shooter yourself, but you're the one that's trying to, and you're still, you have a place in this world, drinking Budweiser.
In the home of the brave, down never means out.
Yeah, which is a strong slogan that means almost nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Next one.
Another cute dog. What do we think of this one, Tom?
I think, indeed, the dog is cute. It's nicely animated, it looks good, but story-wise this ad misses the mark a bit. This dog has no motivation to be doing what it's doing. It's chasing after a guy in a Kia. This dog and the guy haven't even made eye contact at the start of this. The first time this guy sees this dog is when it falls down from the sky, dead.
Killer attack dog.
Killer attack. This dog would have been shattered as well. It would have just fallen apart on impact.
So, what are we saying? In terms of efficient filmmaking, they miss the mark because they don't set up the motivations meaningfully.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason why this dog chooses that car. Maybe that's the point. It's just the car is inherently attractive.
But why is the car attractive? Is it just because it's an electric vehicle? I guess that's what makes it an attractive car to an electric dog.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do think the driver of the car would be more shocked than appreciative.
Yes,
to have a large
definitely.
hunk of metal fall from the sky right next to his car. But still cute. And rousing, exciting pop ballad music, obviously.
For sure. Yeah, that definitely helps. If you haven't already, don't forget to click like down below and subscribe as well. Click the little bell icon to get notified whenever we upload. It really does help us out.
Nervous? Oh, Blaze. Brings back so many good memories.
First of all, these two are a comedy duo in a comedic setting.
Yeah.
It works quite well. It's lighthearted. Crisps are a low involvement product. The tone, I think, matches that. There is an interesting sort of juxtaposition between the tone and the actual situations that happen in this commercial. Pre-wedding, mid-kidnapping, meeting your undead spouse for the first time. They're all quite tense. Even though the tone is very light, they need these sort of wacky, out there situations to make you make some connection between the commercial and the product. I think it does that quite well.
This speaks to the aspirational nature of commercials. Not that you aspire to be in a plane crash, but you're not just going to make a commercial about chips where someone sits on a couch and eats chips.
Which is what you'd actually do with chips.
I think there's a bit of aspiration filmmaking in the product photography itself in this.
Yeah, they look weird, the chip bags. They're very kind of unrealistic and off-put. Yeah, they have this sort of perfectly cut off on the top, and they have all the sort of light reflecting abilities of a couch cushion.
Do you think they're fake? Do you think they've put them in compositing?
I definitely think they've put at least most of them.
I think that's a fake bag of chips.
I think this one is fake. Yeah, the one that he's holding as he's sitting on the stairs. That bag is too stiff.
Exactly, it's like it's wraparound lit, whereas the lighting in the scene is coming from above and the sides. This is my question. Why do that? Why, when you have a, like you say, a low involvement product, why make it look unreally perfect?
Because there are so many competitors, I guess. So you want your product to be perceived as the perfect one, the best one, the one that you mindlessly pick off the shelf.
And I think, again, it speaks to the subconscious value in a load of these adverts, that you're constantly trying, it's almost a tightrope walk, you're constantly trying not to make people notice something that you don't want them to notice.
Do you think they're overdoing it, though? Because I kind of think they are going slightly too far.
I think it would be a problem if the bag was all ragged and falling apart. Definitely. And they'd clearly used it for 20 takes already and someone brought it from home, and, you know, if it was all ruined and the print was coming off, you know, that would be a problem. But if it looks like a normal new bag of chips that you bought from the store, I think that would be good enough. I think it'd be cool to see a real bag of chips.
I call it the wheel.
I don't think so.
So FTX, a crypto platform, they're saying, don't miss out on this amazing new emerging technology. It's as big as the wheel. It's the next best thing to democracy itself.
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so.
The first thing I want to say about this is I love Larry David. I think he's really funny. He's a great actor. He's a good choice for this because it's a funny script. It's a cool idea. Have him responding negatively to all the greatest inventions of all time, and then at the end you present your product and have him do the same. It infers that your product is the next greatest invention of all time. Yeah. But the principle of show don't tell, right? They're telling us that their product is one of these great inventions of all time, but they make no attempt whatsoever to actually convince anyone. I think this ad spends a lot of time being funny, being enjoyable, amazing production, again, great costumes, expensive setups, many of them. They must have spent time and money in excess on this, but they don't tell us what the product is or why it's credible. It's an interesting break in the chain that makes me think, yeah, good job, but better luck next time.
New Bud Light Seltzer hard soda.
Classic cola.
I think first thing is they've clearly put a lot into the production, the world building. They've created a 3D universe there. Lots of CGI, lots of fabulous details.
I love how populated the world is as well. It feels very alive.
Yeah, it's obviously not just a quick thrown together in a day kind of thing. Someone's done huge production design on this. They've put a lot of effort and time and a lot of work into making the world. I also think that it's interesting, the integration here. I want to talk about integration generally in commercials, especially when you have a celebrity involvement. I think you have to make the effort to integrate that. You have to show why that celebrity is relevant. Otherwise, it just feels like you got someone famous to come and say, buy this thing. So they got Guy Fieri, who's known for sort of down-home cooking, big flavors, simple, honest, everyman type cooking. So there's an obvious connection with the loud flavors thing, right? But they've gone one step further, right? They've taken his look and made it a sort of character, a race of people in its own right. And that makes so much more of the celebrity involvement than just having a spokesperson pop up and say, I endorse this product.
And they went a step further still, because we saw on Twitter that Guy Fieri, as soon as this commercial aired, tweeted.
And that's something we've seen for a lot of these commercials, is where there's a celebrity endorser. There's obviously part of the contract is you don't just show up and appear in the commercial, do a day's work shooting. You actually are also a part of the campaign in a larger sense. And making the commercial bigger than itself is important, especially at Super Bowl time, because there's so many huge commercials. You've got to cut above the noise somehow. So to have a big name celebrity to advertise your advertisements, that is a leg up, because you've got to get people to watch the commercial in order to get people to buy the thing. I like it.
Yeah, so do I.
So by the way, if you want to see a bit more of what we do, you can go to the biggerfeet.com website and see some of our previous work. We make commercials too. They're not quite as high budget as these ones, but they're pretty cool. Let's move on.
Hellman's wants to tackle food waste, so naturally, they hired this legend.
So speaking of integration, I think this is a contrasting example. It's a great commercial, it's funny, it makes sense, it tells you something about the product in as much as there's reference to foods that you could make, supposedly.
Not on my watch. You can make potato salad.
What I don't think they do is integrate the celebrity endorsements in this, because Jerod Mayo is a football player, right, or was a football player, so there's a Super Bowl connection. But the only connection with the product is that his name is Mayo. And I get that, obviously, but I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, it's a funny coincidence rather than like a proper, fully fledged integration.
Exactly. And then the other celebrity, Pete Davidson, there's no reason except that it's funny why he's in that. You just want to see him get tackled.
It's a big guy.
Sorry, man. Had to.
I get it. I'm very hittable.
Not an unpleasant integration. Like, he's fun and it's a nice little self-deprecating line, oh, I'm very hittable, but they have no connection to the brand or to the product, and it doesn't do the work that it could do because of that, I think. There's one other interesting thing about this, which is that they're not selling the product. They're selling a campaign against food waste.
Make taste, not waste, baby!
And this is something increasingly popular, that in order to advertise without selling, you integrate some sort of corporate social responsibility project into your advertising. And I'm sure that Hellmann's mayonnaise are committed to this cause, but they are not going to make a penny out of us wasting less food, although maybe wasting less food means using more mayo.
Yeah, because you're going to make potato salad out of the potatoes you've got left over.
But I think that's probably a minor benefit, if a benefit at all. What the real benefit is here is that they get away with advertising without losing credit. There's this inherent, argument that advertising is somehow imposing, it's unpleasant, it's unfriendly, it's something that we have to apologize for doing. Do you ever feel that way when you're making a commercial, that you have to justify its existence somehow?
Yeah, absolutely. But this kind of moves away from that by making it about social responsibility.
I think that's definitely one of the ways that people achieve that apology without apologizing, is they include some sort of cause, some sort of responsibility. I think another way is just creativity, and that's of the ad itself, particularly if it's a fun ad, which this is, then you get away with talking about your product for 30 seconds. I think it's kind of weird during the Super Bowl season, though, because the reason we're here talking about it is this is an event in and of itself. Some people tune into the Super Bowl almost only to watch the halftime show and the commercials. It's a sort of wider cultural event. So if I were advertising during the Super Bowl, I think I wouldn't feel the need to justify that.
In 4 weeks' time, the biggest commercials will play during football's biggest game. This one won't.
So speaking of creativity, I think that's obviously an incredibly important element of advertising, but it can go beyond the creative itself, the actual content of the ad. And I think this Enfamil commercial is a great example of that, because the campaign itself is predicated on a creative idea. They do work with premature babies and NICUs, and they have made a point of that by releasing their commercial early and linking carefully those thoughts, this integration again, the chain. They've made sure to say, we were due to put this out on the 13th, and here are a bunch of babies that were due on the 13th, but they came early. So that follows. And then they have a celebrity or footballer endorsement from a real footballer who was really born early. And so that's connected to, and the whole thing feels really nicely thought through. And the cleverest thing of all, I think, is that they avoided spending $6.5 million to actually put it on during the Super Bowl.
I'm a genius, what can I say?
And I don't know whether it will reach the same audience that all of these other ones have, but they've done exactly what I would want someone to do in this situation, which is come up with a creative concept larger than the commercial itself, which delivers the message you want it to deliver, and it also gives you, it shows you a little bit about what the product is for, what it's good for. It's not forced home, it's not shouted at us, it's just an obvious, well-integrated part of the narrative there. I think, although this isn't the cleverest filmmaking, it isn't the funniest commercial, it isn't the coolest commercial, I think this is my sort of winner of the season, just because it's a creative, overall, well-integrated idea.
There is definitely some clever filmmaking stuff in the sort of emotion they try to convey, but it's sort of from a technical standpoint quite simple and understated.
When you're watching a commercial, you don't know whether they shot it a year ago or a month ago. You don't know how long it's been in editing. We know for a fact that this was made on the spot in the last few weeks because, I mean, assuming we believe them, they featured footage of newborn premature babies who were due on the 13th, but they came early, and so they must have been put into the commercial at the last second, and it gives us a sense of connection to the story of the brand. So good marks all around. Many thumbs up. Obviously, we couldn't talk about every single commercial that aired during the Super Bowl. There were something like 80 or 90 of them. Just think of the money, Tom. But we talked about a few of our favourites. If we missed your favourite, tell us about it in the comments. Thanks everyone for watching. We've had a really good time. Hope you have too. Have you enjoyed yourself, Tom?
I have very much enjoyed myself.
Have I enjoyed myself, George?
Have you?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah, it's been great. We'll see you again in the next one. Come back soon. Bye.
Bye.